Okay, hello. My name is Anthony. Um, I've been a fan of Corsair, and I've been using IQ for about 8 years now. This is my IQ setup, and I wanted to talk about the NightSword V2. There's not a lot of videos out there, and when I was trying to learn about it, I didn't find much information uh, until I got the mouse just yesterday, and I've been playing with it, and just want to kind of make a video just showing people what the mouse is like in case they were a little more curious about the features and the options they have with this mouse. So this is IQ. You see that I do have the dongle here, so the USB receiver that shows up here, but the mouse is not here. So you will not be able to configure the NightSword V2 with IQ, which is kind of disappointing. I feel like there's definitely more features here. If you're a user of IQ, um, and you're used to all this, it's not really a big deal. But for someone who doesn't want the extra uh, load on your CPU with IQ, then I understand that. So that seems to be the direction in the future for Corsair, and so I kind of understand that. This right here is Stream Deck. I use Stream Deck quite a bit. I've got a couple pages here, and I have a virtual Stream Deck that I use as well. That I have hotkeyed to Shift F1, and we'll see how that comes in useful here in a little bit. And when you get the mouse, this goes up. I have it disabled right now. However, if you enable it, you can disable or enable from the settings devices here. You can just enable that. And if you enable it, you can assign things to the buttons. And if you're familiar with Stream Deck, you understand how this works. You can open applications. Uh, you can do a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to go into that. That's not the point of this video. By default, it had some settings. Like opening up the marketplace, opening up Stream Deck, and of course the toggling of the virtual Stream Deck. Corsair really kind of focused on. They really focused on the fact that this had a dedicated Stream Deck button, and I really feel like that's just really a gimmick. The only cool thing about this mouse and Stream Deck is that you can use, in order to use virtual Stream Deck or to use the Stream Deck software, you have to have a Stream Deck. So even if you're just using the virtual side of things, you still need a Stream Deck. So without a Stream Deck, you can still do all this with the NightSword. The NightSword counts as a Stream Deck device that you can use to enable the features of the software. So if you happen to have a setup at home that you use Stream Deck with and you're familiar with it, and then you buy this mouse, you could take the mouse to work and you can use Stream Deck there as well. So that I feel like is the selling point of the Stream Deck integration. Not this and not the dedicated Stream Deck button, which is really just a button with the Stream Deck logo on it. Like I said, I ended up disabling this just because it with this enabled, it pretty much bypasses and ignores any of the settings that you have in the Corsair Web Hub, and I found the Corsair Web Hub to be a little more to be able to do a little more, and we'll show some of that here too in a second. I mean, you can do all these Stream Deck functions, and that's cool, but finding a button to switch a profile and IQ to this to your to this button, say, it's a right and left tilt on the wheel, which is actually a pretty cool addition to this mouse I wasn't aware of before. But assigning the button to that action, I don't know if that's something you would do. It's much more useful to have a single button bound to the Stream Deck, where you now have tons of options where you can quickly just kind of point to with your mouse. I don't find it necessary to assign different buttons to things like that. And when you do, it does bypass any of the settings you set in the Corsair Web Hub, which let me go ahead and open that up real quick here. We'll go into that a little bit. It's, just to introduce myself a little bit more. I've been using Corsair products for a while, and I don't pretend to be a YouTuber. I'm not going to edit this video. This isn't scripted in any way. It's just me kind of talking about a product and talking about things that I've noticed about the mouse and things that I haven't seen on YouTube about this mouse yet. A lot of the videos are just people who just talk about all the marketing hype. They're just repeating the same marketing hype that they see from Corsair or they're getting from Corsair. Okay, so let's go into this a little bit. You got your lighting effects. You add a lighting effect, and you pick your lighting effect, pick your colors. You can pick your zones. There's the wheel, there's the logo here, and then there's another option here for some lighting that appears under the mouse. It's actually on the bottom of the mouse, and it kind of gives the mouse a little glow. If your room's a little dark, you can see that glow. Okay, I'm actually going to delete that. Button assignments. If you've done any programming with button assignments, that's pretty much the same thing here. If I want to program this, I can go to keyboard keys. I can just select the button I want. I wish you could just push the button, but instead they want you to click on it down here. So if I want to click, I want to find that, you just click on it, saves it to the mouse, then you're good to go. The cool thing about this Corsair Web Hub, if you're not familiar with it, you are able to use this on wire. You don't have to be wired. I have a Keychron keyboard, and with that one, I have to be wired. With Web Hub, you do not, but it does not work with Bluetooth. I've tried it with Bluetooth, and it only seems to work with the 2.4 dongle that comes with the mouse. Okay. You got mouse buttons. You can assign, say, this button to do right click. Click on it, saves it. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Same thing with the media and volume. Same thing with keystroke. This one here, I did a shift and F1. So if I wanted to delete that, I can just go push shift and then push F1, press check, and it saves it. You're good to go. And then you got DPI, where you can have multiple DPIs. I just prefer to use one. I don't switch through DPIs. And then you could assign a button to change your DPI. By default, these are DPI up and DPI down. If you don't assign them, that's what they default to. Okay, and then you got your device settings. You do up firmware updates. You got your polling right here that you can pick. Brightness, sleep mode, and then all these other extra features that I'm not too worried about. Then all the way at the bottom, you click on save to save any changes you make. Now, like I said, if you use the Stream Deck integration, anything you set here doesn't work. It doesn't work. It ignores pretty much everything from the assignment screen here. Like even the DPI up and down, that doesn't happen. Um, and then from the Stream Deck integration, you couldn't assign the DPI up and down. Anyway, so I feel like the Stream Deck integration just isn't necessary. Um, I don't have my other mouse plugged in, my IQ mouse, but with my old mouse before, I had a button that was programmed to do that hotkey to open the virtual Stream Deck. So, I mean, that's what I ended up doing here. With this keystroke, the Shift F1, that opens my Stream Deck. So I push the right tilt of the wheel, and it opens my Stream Deck. I don't need to use the dedicated button with the Elgato logo on it to open it. By default, it doesn't actually do anything if you don't program it. And at this point, I don't think it is programmed. Uh, Another little feature here that I kind of noticed is if you click on this where it says default here, you see you can create a profile. Now, I also bought the Harpoon V2, and in that Harpoon V2, that also had the profile feature. I didn't notice it at first when I started playing with it, but this mouse has a profile switch, and the Harpoon did not. Another annoying thing, and this right there, I'm hoping they fix, but I don't have a way of moving that profile switch to another button. I can't assign it to another button. I'm stuck to using that button there. If you go to assignments, you would think under mouse button. Heck, they even have a DPI cycle button, which isn't anywhere here. They have a sniper button that you don't see on the mouse itself. It would have been nice if they had a profile switch here so I could use the profile switch somewhere else and not necessarily on that button. Okay, so that's pretty much all the features. Um, if you're wondering what how many buttons, I was trying to find documentation on what these buttons were. Um, I think I read one thing that said they have 11 programmable buttons on Corsair's marketing materials. But this right here is it. There's two buttons here on the upper left-hand side of the mouse, right next to the main right-click button. There's the DPI button, and then there's a forward and back button, just like most mice have. Then the profile switch button here. The right middle click button is clicking the wheel. Gives you a default, but you can change that to something else if you wish. And like I said, you can tilt the wheel right and left, and you can assign that to anything. By default, I don't think it does anything. So yeah, that's about it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Um, like I said, this is not a fancy video. I don't have any intros or outros. I don't really edit videos. Not interested in that. I'm just making a video, and hopefully someone finds it useful or helpful. Okay, everybody, have fun playing with whatever hardware you get. I just enjoy Corsair products. I've enjoyed using IQ just because everything kind of integrates into it. It is a little CPU intensive, but I enjoy using it. So, okay, that's it for now.